A movie rejected 43 times. Co-stars who hated each other. Water so cold it caused hypothermia. Executives convinced it would bomb. Then it made $214 million and changed pop culture forever. This is Dirty Dancing, the film nobody wanted that became the phenomenon nobody saw coming. Behind that iconic lift and unforgettable soundtrack was absolute chaos. Production disasters, on-set fights, extreme weather that hospitalized actors, and moments of pure accident that became movie magic. Today, we're counting down 15 weird facts you didn't know about Dirty Dancing. The near disasters, the freezing water, the real tension between Patrick and Jennifer, and the stuff you never noticed even after your 200th rewatch. Now, before we dive in, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to TV Time Capsule for deep dives into the movies that raised us, and share this video with a friend who's tried that lift at a wedding and failed spectacularly. Let's get into it with number 15. Number 15. 43 studios said no before anyone said yes. 1985. Eleanor Bergstein finishes the Dirty Dancing script. She spent years researching, based it on her own Catskills summers. She takes it to MGM, and they love the title. Executive Eileen Massell reads it, gets excited, teams Bergstein with producer Linda Gottlieb. They start pre-production. Then MGM management changes, and new executives read the script. Pass. Film goes into development hell. Bergstein takes it to every major studio in Hollywood. Universal says no. Paramount says no.
You want? Got that guy's thing to do. Hey, hold it! Hold it.
Fox, Warner Brothers, all of them reject it. The reasons pile up. Too small, too niche, nobody cares about the Catskills. Dance movies don't sell. The topic of ending a pregnancy is too controversial. One executive literally said, "Nobody wants to see a movie about dirty dancing." By the time it's been rejected 43 times, Gottlieb is ready to give up. Then Bergstein reads a New York Times article about Vestron Inc., a home video distribution company in Connecticut, launching a motion picture division. Vestron agrees to meet with one condition. The budget has to be $5 million maximum. Gottlieb had calculated $8 million at its absolute cheapest. Cutting to $5 million seemed impossible. But they were out of options. Here's where it gets desperate. To hit that budget, Gottlieb had to house the entire cast and crew in the same hotel they were using for filming. No separate accommodations, everyone crammed together. Then, 1986 incidents in Europe caused Americans to cancel foreign travel, and U.S. hotels got slammed with bookings. Prices soared. Finding affordable lodging became nearly impossible.
Score, and I thought I'd never find a guy as great as my dad.
Gottlieb finally found one hotel in Virginia, willing to work with their budget. One catch, they had to film in September. It was already June when the deal closed. 3 months to prep everything. The movie 43 studios rejected was about to be made for pocket change on an impossible timeline. Number 14. They hated each other before filming even started. Patrick Swayze and Jennifer Grey had worked together before on Red Dawn in 1984. That's where the problems started. The film took place during a fictional war, and the director wanted the young actors to undergo 8 weeks of military training to get into character. Patrick played the leader and took the role seriously, method acting the entire 8 weeks and never breaking character. Jennifer described him as an unprofessional troublemaker playing pranks on everyone. She told interviewers Patrick was being macho, and she just couldn't take it. By the end of Red Dawn, they weren't speaking. Fast forward to Dirty Dancing casting. Jennifer was already cast as Baby, and when Patrick's name came up for Johnny, she didn't want to work with him again. but their screen test showed breathtaking chemistry. Patrick got the role. That initial cooperation faded fast, and they were soon facing off before every scene. Patrick got frustrated with what he called Jennifer's silly moods and emotional nature. She'd burst into tears if someone criticized her performance. Other times, she'd slip into giggly fits, forcing them to reshoot scenes over and over. Jennifer, on the other hand, found Patrick's fearlessness
Bend your knees and go up. Go.
intimidating compared to her own fear and hesitation. The tension got so bad that producer Bergstein and director Emil Ardolino had to intervene. They forced Patrick and Jennifer to re-watch their initial screen tests, the ones with that undeniable chemistry. It worked temporarily. They'd remember why they were cast together, film scenes with renewed energy, then go right back to avoiding each other between takes. Here's the twist, though. Their real-life tension created the perfect dynamic for Johnny and Baby. The friction you see on screen, that push and pull, a lot of that was genuine. Number 13. Jennifer got hypothermia, filming the lake scene in 40-degree water. The famous lake lift, one of cinema's most romantic images. What you don't see is it was torture. The scene was scheduled for summer filming with warm water and comfortable conditions. Didn't happen that way. Heatwave delays at the start of production pushed everything back, and by the time they got to the lake scene, it was late October in Mountain Lake, Virginia. Water temperature had dropped to 40 degrees, just above freezing. Jennifer Grey, years later, said, "You have to be young and hungry to get in water that cold for that long, asking if you can pass away if certain body parts literally explode from cold." Patrick Swayze's autobiography called it horrifyingly, hypothermically cold. Here's what the scene looked like from shore. Crew members standing around in heavy coats with hoods up and gloves on, some with blankets, thermoses of hot coffee, everyone bundled against autumn cold. Patrick and Jennifer in the water, wearing jeans and a shirt. That's it, practicing the lift over and over, their lips turning blue, skin going pale, shivering so hard they could barely hold position. Choreographer Kenny Ortega watched knowing they needed the shot, but seeing Jennifer's condition getting worse. He later revealed Jennifer actually got hypothermia. Between takes, they'd stumble out, and crew would wrap them in blankets trying to warm them up, then back in for another take. Patrick had a severe knee injury at this point, with fluid building up, causing constant pain. Lifting Jennifer in freezing water, even though she was light, felt like lifting 500 pounds, according to his book. They filmed that scene over and over for multiple angles and different shots. Watch it now, that's not acting. Jennifer's lips really are blue if you look closely, and Patrick's grimace isn't Johnny's intensity. It's actual pain. Number 12. They never rehearsed the final lift and only did it twice in their lives. The iconic final lift where Johnny lifts Baby above his head during the big dance, that move was never practiced before filming. Jennifer had a genuine fear of being lifted over Patrick's head and kept putting off rehearsing it. They waited until cameras rolled to attempt it and nailed it on the first try. Jennifer later said she only did it on the day she shot it, never rehearsed it, and never done it since. What made it even more impressive was Patrick's knee injury. His knee was so bad during filming that fluid had to be drained from it regularly. Despite Jennifer being light, lifting someone overhead with a blown knee required everything he had. The lake lift earlier in the film was the same story, only performed twice in their entire lives, once in the lake and once in the finale. They never recreated it even at reunions or anniversary events. Jennifer called it a game day thing and said Patrick was the only person she'd ever trust to try it with because of his ballet training and strength. That final lift happens at the end of an exhausting dance number. Patrick's already been dancing for minutes, knee screaming, then has to hit that lift perfectly on cue. One take. No safety net, no practice run. The look of relief and joy on both their faces when he catches her? That's real. Real gratitude that it worked. Real respect for pulling it off. Real care for each other in that moment, despite their off-screen issues. Jennifer wrote in her memoir that what you see between them in that scene was genuine emotion. Number 11. Patrick's rage in the giggle scene was 100% real. The arm-trailing scene where Johnny teaches Baby a move and runs his fingers down her arm while she giggles. Feels playful and flirty, perfectly scripted. None of it was scripted. Here's what actually happened. They're filming in a tin building with no heat at 4 a.m. after shooting for 18 hours straight. Patrick Swayze is desperate to finish and go home. Director sets up the shot. Patrick stands behind Jennifer and trails his fingers down her arm. Simple, should take one take. Jennifer bursts out laughing. She's extremely ticklish, especially under her arms, and Patrick's hand brushes her underarm. She completely loses it. Cut, reset, try again. Patrick trails his fingers down, and Jennifer starts laughing before he even touches her, anticipating the tickle. Take 5, take 8, take 12. Jennifer cannot stop laughing. Sometimes she holds it for a few seconds, then cracks. Sometimes she's laughing before the scene starts. Patrick's face getting harder, his expression shifting from patient to annoyed to genuinely angry. Choreographer Kenny Ortega, watching from the side, realizes what's happening, and later said, the look on his face, no one directed that. That's not Johnny getting frustrated with Baby's inexperience. That's Patrick Swayze at 4 a.m., freezing cold and exhausted, watching Jennifer giggle for the 20th time in a row. Take 23. The director gives up and says, we're using this, it's perfect. Patrick's annoyance, completely real, became one of the film's most beloved moments. Jennifer couldn't help being ticklish. Patrick couldn't help being irritated. And the camera captured two people at their absolute limit that somehow became movie magic. Number 10. The heat wave that sent actors to the hospital. September 5th, 1986, first day of shooting in Lake Lure, North Carolina. Temperature hits 102 degrees. Weather forecast had predicted mid-80s. They got a full-blown heat wave instead. Day 1, actors show up in period-accurate clothing from 1963, wool and polyester and layers, fabric that doesn't breathe. By noon, people are wilting with makeup running and actors drenched in sweat. Day 2, 104 degrees. One of the dancers collapses mid-rehearsal, and a medic diagnoses severe dehydration. She gets taken by ambulance to the hospital, and production shuts down for 2 hours. Day 3, 105 degrees, and now multiple people are struggling. Crew sets up cooling tents, ice baths, industrial fans, but it doesn't help much. Interior scenes were worse. The buildings had no air conditioning, and when you add production lights, massive bulbs pumping out heat, interior temperatures hit 120 degrees. Actors would do a take, stumble outside, some would get sick from heat exhaustion, then back in for the next scene. Patrick insisted on doing his own stunts, including a scene where he balances on a log over water. Kept falling off and hitting the water hard, did it over and over until his knee started swelling with so much fluid they had to drain it between takes. Several actors were hospitalized over the first week with heat-related issues, and the production insurance company started threatening to shut down the film. Then the delays from the heat wave pushed filming into autumn, which created a whole new problem: freezing water for the lake scenes. So cast and crew suffered through extreme heat for 3 weeks, then suffered through extreme cold for the final 2 weeks, from 105-degree conditions to 40-degree hypothermia, all in 43 days. Number 9, they fired Baby's mom at lunch and replaced her in 20 minutes. September 5th, 1986, Day 1. Lynn Lipton arrives on set to play Baby's mother in the opening scene with the Houseman family driving to Kellerman's resort. They film the car scene, and Lipton is in the front seat. You can briefly see her blonde hair in the final cut. That's all that remains. Between takes, Lipton keeps complaining about fatigue and weakness. Doesn't feel well, needs to lie down constantly. Producer Linda Gottlieb notes in her production diary that the actress has to lie down a lot. Everyone's concerned, but they push through and get the car scene done. September 6th, day 2. Lipton shows up looking worse and clearly unwell. They start filming her scenes with Jennifer Grey, but 2 hours in, it's obvious this isn't working. Gottlieb's notes say it is clear to everybody that this woman will not be Jennifer Grey's mother for much longer. At lunchtime, they send Lipton home and tell her to rest and see a doctor. Now they have a massive problem. There's a scene scheduled for that afternoon with Baby's mother, and they have 200 extras already on set being paid by the hour. Extras who can't be rescheduled. Producer Gottlieb looks around frantically for someone who can play this role immediately. Kelly Bishop, already cast as Vivian Pressman, the resort guest, is standing nearby. Gottlieb grabs her and says, "You're the mother now." Bishop asks, "What about my role?" And Gottlieb says, "We'll figure it out." They costume Bishop, do her makeup, and throw her into the scene with minimal rehearsal, filming it that afternoon with the 200 extras. Kelly Bishop's original role gets given to Miranda Garrison, the assistant choreographer who's been teaching Jennifer the dances. So now Garrison is simultaneously the assistant choreographer and an actress in the film. Gottlieb's notes sum it up perfectly. Kelly has one strong thing going for her. She is here. Number 8. Executives watched the rough cut and thought it was pornographic. Shooting wrapped October 27, 1986. On time and on budget. Nobody on the team liked the rough cut. Vestron executives watched it and were convinced the film was going to be a complete failure. Things got weirder when film dailies kept getting held up at the Canadian border because authorities thought it was adult content due to the title. Eleanor Bergstein seriously considered renaming it I Was a Teenage Mambo Queen. Then Clearasil, the acne product company, approached wanting to sponsor the film because they saw it as a vehicle to reach teenagers. When they learned about a sensitive plot point, they demanded that part be cut. Bergstein refused, and Clearasil dropped out completely. Without major sponsorship, Vestron had to promote the film themselves. Their plan was modest: release it in theaters for one weekend, then push it straight to home video, since Vestron had been in the video distribution business before film production. They genuinely thought theatrical release would be minimal. The executives scheduled a May 1987 screening for producer Aaron Russo to get his opinion. Reports from that screening said people in the room were uncomfortable and unsure. Nobody knew if audiences would connect with it. Test screenings had been lukewarm, and a large chunk of viewers didn't even realize there was a controversial subplot until someone pointed it out. Vestron pushed the release date from July to August 21, 1987, trying to avoid competition with other youth-oriented films. They printed a limited number of posters, booked a small number of theaters, and crossed their fingers. The film, they were convinced, would flop open to modest expectations